Hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast, episode number 59. Today we have three of our usual regulars, me, Biter, Lars,
Barg,
and Old Bob.
Blurg.
And today we have our two special guests, NuttyRat and RJBass, who are here to tell us about Mech Pilots United.
I believe Blurg?
Blurg?
that's just our usual go-to. But yes, it works.
I guess. I mean, I'm just following the crowd here. It's all good.
Blurg works fine.
Yes.
That sounds like the language I speak when I'm 4 hours into the happy hour stream.
Very true.
Yes, but how you guys doing? Thanks for having us on.
No problem at all, man. So what is Mech Pilots United? I'll let you guys take it from there. I saw this, and I saw you guys doing it. I'm like, wow, we got to get you guys on and go ahead and spread the word about this. So I'll let you guys take it from there, man.
Nutty, you want to start? You want me to?
You know what, RJ, give us the history. Like, give us kind of, where we, getting to actually starting up the team, because I know there's a bit of a story behind that, and then I can maybe explain what the team is and what people can expect from Mech Pilots United, both as a stream team and as a gaming community as a whole.
Cool. Okay. I want to say the original history of Mech Pilots United actually goes back 3 years. Back when NGNG first split off, they used to have other streamers that were part of it, like Proton and Impy and others that all used to stream on NGNG. And then when NGNG got aligned with PGI, they had to get rid of a lot of those extra streamers. Just went to Darren and Phil. But at the time, Darren and Phil said that they were going to create a Twitch stream team for NGNG. And so a lot of us, and Darren said, I'd be one of the invited streamers, plus all the guys that were a part of it. And so a lot of us were pretty excited for when that kicked off, but unfortunately it never did. And I don't know the reason why. I assume it was because of something that had to do with their contract with PGI, but I have no confirmation of that. And you fast forward a couple of years, another stream team that was getting really popular within the Mechwarrior Online community was the Beard Brigade. You had Banestorm, who was a part of that, Star Wolf, Cyclone Jack, who's another one of the founding members of MPU. He and I were both in it. Modib. There was quite a few Mechwarrior streamers who became part of the Beard Brigade. And then as of the 1st of this month, the Beard Brigade ceased to exist. Matt and Joe, they basically grew the Beard Brigade way too big and too fast. I think at the end there were over 450 streamers that were part of Beard Brigade, and
their beards got too long. Wait, sorry.
So and it just got to be, because they're full-time streamers. They have to, they make all of their income from streaming, and it got to the point where they spent more time managing the team than they were actually streaming. So they decided on the first of the month to end it. So that left a few of us, like, oh, we just got on this team or been a part of this team. We got to do something about that. And at the same time, Twitch was ending their Twitch communities. And a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started a community called BT and MWO Streamers, and a bunch of the MWO and Battletech streamers, they put that community in their tag. And it was just a really easy way to find people who were streaming and playing Mechwarrior Online, Battletech, and any of the other variations of big stompy robot games. So with the communities coming to an end and Beard Brigade coming to an end, Cyclone Jack approached me and he said, hey, RJ, with Beard Brigade shutting down, community shutting down, I really think we should create a stream team based around big stompy robots. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. Only problem is you have to have a partnered streamer to do it. Yeah. Fortunately, we have a couple of them that are part of the MWO community, and I immediately reached out to Haven Kendrick, and I talked about it at length for a while, and he was on board. He was totally on board, and he started the process of getting it created. So then I started reaching out to other people, and the first person I went to, at this point, it was Cyclone, Haven, and myself. Haven was creating it. Cyclone and I got the idea going there, and I wanted to start reaching out to other streamers that I knew and respected. And of course, with NuttyRat being my partner every Friday and someone I stream with very frequently, he was the first one I went to. And so, and Nutty was immediately on board and wanting to help out and everything. And it just kind of kept going from there. We got our list of initial founding members, and I'll let Nutty go into some of the more finer details of what we're all about there. But that's the good basic history of how it got started.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, RJ. So yeah, Mech Pilots United came as RJ came about. It came about because of kind of the fall of the Beard Brigade. And when RJ approached me, he's like, you know what, we got this great idea. We're gonna do set up a stream team. We've got Haven Kendrick on board to kind of do like the Twitch backing for us. Is this something that I was interested in? Of course, I didn't have to spend. I spent only a couple moments just going, yeah, sure, let's do this. So we then, of course, had to determine, what we were going to do, what it was going to be about. And one of the things that RJ mentioned is that it's a stream team about big stompy robots. So while the vast majority of us, we play Mechwarrior Online, we play the earlier Mech titles, we play the online, the BattleTech game by Harebrained Schemes. Of course, some people play tabletop or go into other kind of electronic versions of the tabletop game. But there are people that play other stompy robot based games as well, and we wanted to be able to expand the community in different ways, right? We wanted to be able to introduce people that have never played Mechwarrior but play other stompy robot games into Mechwarrior, and vice versa. Right, be able to play things like Vox Machina or any of the other stompy robot based games that are out there. So we kind of then embarked on a mission of who do we want to be part of Mech Pilots United, and really what is the description of Mech Pilots United. So the general description is we're a team dedicated to everything mech related. We play various games, but we're really focused primarily on Mechwarrior Online. But generally speaking, it's about big stompy robots. We for the actual there's the stream team itself, but there's also the Mech Pilots United community. So anybody is welcome to join the community. And then we've got our team of streamers that we have, which we have our founding members, and we have a limited number of streamers that we're including in the actual stream team itself. With the goal of really fostering positive interactions with the gaming community at large, streamers that want to engage with their community to help new players, to introduce people into the game, and we have folks from kind of all levels of spectrum as far as skills concerned. We've got from the extremely high skilled like Proton to the potato tier quality like me. And we kind of span that whole gamut of fantastic, very talented streamers, very talented personality.
The main thing there, though, with the streamers that we look at, streamers who are generally very positive. If they do have criticism about any of the stompy robot games, they're not taking that criticism to the extreme. It's more like constructive criticism, because that there's a lot of, if you look on the subreddits that deal with Mechwarrior Online, there's a lot of just straight hate out there.
That's why I stay away from it.
Yeah, it's two of them out there.
It's so toxic, and so the other part of the stream team was to be that counter argument to the negativity and show how these games, especially Mechwarrior Online, can be so much fun to play. Even if we may not like, some of the balance changes coming or that have happened, or, there certainly have been things in this game in Mechwarrior Online that have peeved me off in the past. We talk about the great minimap fiasco from 2 years ago, or introduction of the skill tree, the new skill tree. There's been all kinds of things, but when it comes down to it, and I did put a video up my YouTube channel about this too, I still keep playing this game because there's still, I've yet to find any other free-to-play game that offers the amount of customization and that Mechwarrior does, and plus it really does scratch my itch for big stompy robots. So I still enjoy the game. So counter argument to all the doomsdayers out there about it.
Well, plus also it's a community as well. That's the greatest thing that I love about this game, and pretty much also lore and everything. But the whole thing is just the people you meet and the community that you actually foster friendships with is one of the best aspects of this game. It could be anything, but this is what really brings a lot of people to this game. Plus, it's a lot of grown-ups playing this game too.
The average age for MWO is certainly, I think, higher than your average game.
Yeah.
But kind of like RJ is mentioning, there are few games that are out there where you can grab 11 of your closest personal friends, get into a group together, and go and play video games and have a significant amount of complexity. And a significant amount of skill and lore and all that kind of stuff that you can either learn or bring to the table and have an enjoyable time. And in our respective streams individually and when we stream together on Total MWO Fridays, we really try to embody that. Let's try to be as positive as we can. I mean, we're not like we're not blowing smoke up people's asses or anything like that, right? Like it's Piranha Games makes mistakes just like any other developer, and it's better to be constructive than to say we think X person should be fired because I don't like what they did. And
right.
And that really bugs me. And RJ knows how much that saying that kind of stuff, it poisons the well. It's no longer a constructive and meaningful conversation. It's this conversation is pointless. Why are we having it? And I don't want to have that. And I think with most of the people in Mech Pilots United, we don't want to have that kind of interaction either.
Well,
That's
yeah,
good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Most people are like that as well too, and it's just constructive criticism. Is just that basically you might not like something, but try to actually give something that actually might work, or some other ideas that might work for that, and that's a good point. And that's one thing that I love about Mech Pilots United is they're so positive. Because like you see most of these, I mean, sometimes you get some toxic people. It does happen, but overall though, like a lot of people really want this game to succeed and to be better. But there are some people out there too.
I think we're very much a lot on the same page. I mean, even in regards to like on Fridays, we all group together and do gimmick drops together. Like just
that's
rushing
great.
an enemy with 12 micro pulse novas, for example.
And that was tons of fun that last week.
Yeah, but one important thing I think we should touch on though is how can people get to Mech Pilots United? You said like people could join the community, but what is that community? Is it a Discord? Is it a Skype channel?
Yeah.
Is it a Facebook group?
So we have a Discord, and there's also the actual Twitch stream page as well. So it's twitch.tv/team/Mech Pilots United. That will take you to the landing page where you can see all of the team members and see who is streaming at the moment, making it easy for you to switch between the various Mech Pilots United streamers.
Okay.
On that team page, we have a link to our Discord, where you can go and be a part of the overall Mech Pilots United community. If you're a streamer, you can also through the Discord. We do have an application where you can apply to be part of Mech Pilots United. We are just starting this up though, so we're not really set to look at and evaluate our applicants quite yet. We're hoping to start looking at our applicants at the end of October, mainly because within the founding members we need to kind of make sure that everybody is on the we're kind of all within the same mission statement, which we generally are.
Yeah.
And we also don't want to be another Beard Brigade, and that we don't want the team to become so large that it's no longer fun, that it's no longer an enjoyable experience to run a team of streamers like this, because we don't want to get burnt out by it. As you can imagine, especially with Beard Brigade having so many members, they got burnt out very quickly. Or not very quickly. The team was around for a while. Well, we don't want to deal with that, and we also want to make it I don't want to say exclusive, but we want to make sure that we're getting the streamers that fit kind of the Mech Pilots United idea the best.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing actually for any type of group when you do construct and a concept and an idea for a group together is the personality conflicts you have to deal with as well too. And one of the things like you're talking about, you got to make it so it's not exclusive, but a fit for what's going on in like inside the groups. And I like that That's really good. That's really
Yeah,
good.
and
Yeah,
one thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say at least, yeah, it's an interesting question, at least if we're talking about the shibboleth of your particular group. You've talked a lot about creative criticism, you know, general positivity and such like that. But, you know, as with any shibboleth, it's about, you know, somewhat enforcing boundaries or having several spheres of influence within the community. Though, for the most part, at least I would imagine, though this is just my personal imagination, it's like you just basically form it around, you know, sitting down, playing the game, and having fun with a small group of friends. And if the group gets too big, then you sort of, you know, lost the train of thought there.
Yeah.
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 I think probably the one thing I also like as well about your group is that, you know, whenever you mentioned you have a wide range from top tier to potato, but as long as those groups have the same like idea and mindset of just, hey, we're going to go in and just have a good time, I think that's a really good thing to be pushing out to, you know, to the, you know, like main community, is to say, hey, you know, you can, like, hey, like you can be really good or you can be not as good, but as long as like everyone's having a good time, we all win.
Yeah, if you bring something positive to the Mechwarrior online community at large, then MPU is probably going to be a place for you.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, as it is, I think we just kind of set a tentative goal to be around 30 members by the time MechCon starts. So we're going to have a big meeting tomorrow. All the founding members, all that can be there. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow to kind of discuss what parameters we're looking for with new members, kind of set some general guidelines, etc. That's why we haven't really brought in a bunch of new members yet from the application process, but we're getting there. As I said, we're getting there. Hopefully by the end of the month, we'll start getting those invites out.
I'd say at least for our group, sort of built around Lush's Discord, the First Circuit podcast, you know, we all meet up for gimmick drops on Friday, and we all follow the way of the Post-it note.
Biter, go ahead and explain what the Post-it note is to them.
All right, yeah. So we have one significant piece of guidance that all of our mech pilots should follow. And what you do is you get a Post-it note, you get a pen, and you write in big capital letters, rotate right on that Post-it note. Put it on your screen. And if you're ever wondering why you're not doing well enough or what you should be doing right now, you look to the Post-it note and it will grant you deliverance.
I like it.
But also, in case of emergency, turn the Post-it note over to reverse the Post-it note.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to rotate a direction other than right, but yeah, the Post-it note can still deliver. Just turn it upside down.
So, I'm just curious, like, where do you see Mech Pilots United in about 2 to 3 years from now?
That's a really good question. I don't know that we've quite thought that far ahead.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what Nutty's thinking here, but I mean, in a year's time, I'd like to see Mech Pilots United be, you know, large enough that it is really spreading that positive side of the games across the platform, the Twitch platform, but you know, helping some of our smaller streamers get to that affiliate status, helping our partnered streamers, you know, get those extra partner points that they need, and just being a true support for each other and the MWO or Stompy Robot community. Yeah. I don't really know that I have any true goals outside of the basics going past a year, but again, that's something we might be discussing tomorrow.
At least in my mind, I think the basic thing to do is just build a group of regulars and you play together a lot and have fun, because, you know, if you're just streaming day after day on your own, you don't have a group you usually play with, eventually you get really fatigued with the game.
Yeah.
But if you can build up a group of regulars that you really enjoy interacting with and playing with, that will help you, you know, stay in these big stompy robot, you know, video games, and not get tired of them and try and run off to something else. So at least for me, I think that's at least been always my mindset when I join, you know, different Discord groups or even the First Circuit podcast, is just getting involved with the community and you know, keeping myself and everybody else sort of mutually interested in the game.
Yeah, and then actually, I do have a question for both Nutty and RJ. So for example, on my end, I might only stream on a Friday if I'm feeling up to it, but most of my content is pre-recorded edits on YouTube. But for a person who might want to get into streaming and everything and might still have to work as well, I don't know if you guys still work full-time or mainly if Twitch is your full-time gig, but how do you get balance between Twitch streaming, doing the MPU, and then just keeping a personal life? I guess, how do you balance all of that?
It really means just giving up women.
hang on a second. Hang on. Lars.
I'm married for a year, so
I'm married.
Lars,
I can't do that.
hang on. You're making a very big assumption here. You're assuming that we have lives. No. In all seriousness, I mean, like anything, right? It's I don't know how. I mean, the way that I approach it is I approach this as it is an expression of my hobby. I'm a lifelong gamer. I also work in the IT industry, so for me, going from sitting in the office in front of a computer to go home and sit in front of a computer, for me, that's not much of a stretch.
That's what I do.
So
same job.
And when I started streaming in January of last year, was when I really started streaming in all seriousness. I kind of sat down and I looked at the way that video gaming was in the past. Right? Think back when I'm 38, so when I was when I was in my teens, it's like it's the Super Nintendo, Sega, right?
Yeah.
It's that era, right? Right? And that's when you invite your friends over. You're all sitting on the couch and you're passing the controller around. Right? You're playing those multiplayer games with your friends, and for me, that's what streaming was a virtual way of doing that. But of course, I'm not trying to put my keyboard and mouse through to let them play. But I was able to then, connect with people that played the game better than me, that actually helped me to become a better Mechwarrior, and then for me it just then became a habit. If I'm playing a video game, I'm streaming it. And if I don't play a game, I'm not streaming it. So it's I made personal decisions around this kind of later on when I realized that, hey, this is actually a thing. this is more than just turning on a webcam and for a couple hours and playing a video game. It really becomes more than that. So then for me it became an investment of myself into this whole world of Twitch. To just to make sure that damn it, I lost my train of thought now. but needless to say, I mean, for me, I mean, I balance my work and the hectic work of being in IT and Twitch relatively well. I just play.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, balance is hard to actually do in streaming and working and home life and all the different things that you're doing. It's one of the hardest things streamers actually have to go through. And just like you said, it's great that we could actually talk to each other from across the world. Like Biter's in Britain and RJ's like across the country. You're in Canada. It's just great that we can do this. And that's one of the reasons why I do this, is to make friends throughout the world and kind of just enjoy time together of something that I love myself. Mech, big stompy robots, Battletech, and lore and everything else, and that's why I do this. And it's just awesome. So I do think it's admirable you guys do the Mech Pilots like United. I think it's awesome. You guys rock. I mean, damn, that is just such a good thing you guys are doing for the community, and I hope actually like Peach-Eye sees this and at least commends you guys on something like this. This is crazy cool for the community.
Well, thank you.
It's always, yeah. I think, as I said earlier, we are on a very similar page in terms of creative criticism and also how we like to play together as a group. And yeah, we hope the best of luck for you in forming your own little parts of the community and moving forward. Talking about moving forward, there is an upcoming patch note.
Oh dear God!
Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, this Tuesday, new mech coming out with a giant patch.
Oh, on a giant aircraft mech?
Yes.
Do you want to champion that mech, Bob?
Oh no, man!
Oh God!
Oh, the cheese! It burns.
Oh god, my head hurts now.
You're just so punny.
I don't want to champion this mech.
I don't have enough
So-
whiskey for those puns.
So who here has actually pre-ordered the champion?
I'm pretty sure. I'm actually pretty sure I did. I have a bad habit of throwing money at the screen when a new mech pack is announced. I'll just double down. Go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just laughing actually.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I was double checking. I pre-ordered it. Yes, I have the ultimate pack.
Basically, this mech comes out on what, the 16th, I think it is. Is this,
Yeah, the patch. Everything coming out on the patch.
everything comes out on the 16th. It looks like a aircraft with wings. Looks like a land mech, a land air mech. In for the old people that used to play the tabletop. As far as like what it looks like and how it does, I really never played it in the tabletop. I never really got around to actually using this mech inside the tabletop because I really didn't like how it looks. And usually, you know, like one of the things when you do actually make mechs and make designs for something, you got to make it look sleek and cool, you know, just like the Hatchet Man, type thing. So one of the things is I never dropped it in there just because of the fact it looks really crappy. It looks crappy. The original drawing, the new drawing that they have for Mechwarrior Online is actually really cool. I do love that. They actually did a really good like rendition of the mech itself and how it looks and kind of the feel of it, and so that's kind of cool about that. As far as the stats and everything else, I really haven't looked too much like into it. But like we always say, the $20 pack is one of the best things you could ever do. Just for a simple fact, you get 3 mechs, 3 bays, 3 days active time, three items, title and the badges, and then also you get all the really cool early adapter rewards. So definitely get those if you guys can. Just for $20, I mean for $8 you get all these different things, which is just, well, actually get, you know, $12 for the premium time, then $8 for all the rest of the stuff. So it's well worth it to just get the $20 pack. Period. End of story. I'll let someone else take it from here.
And the hero is the only one that has jump jets.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't realize that. Oh my god, yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I was rather apprehensive about the champion. It looks like it's a big, giant walking torso, and we still, of course, don't actually know how its how its hitboxes will play out. You know, it could very much suffer from kind of being like the Sun Spider with giant side torsos that are easy to blow off.
Or the Uziel.
Or even the Uziel. And the hard points are interesting, but they weren't too amazing, or at least I wasn't too infused by them. A lot of just torso mounted hard points, but you know, it was interesting enough. In the patch notes, there is actually just below the mobility increases, they say there's a PDF release, and this includes, in fact, because at the time of recording, we don't actually know the quirks or anything like that. So we can see that the champion is actually getting fairly good acceleration, deceleration. It's the thing with IS 60 tonners is they have always somewhat struggled, which is why mechs like the Dragon and the Quick Draw have got lots of quirks to try and make up for it, like excellent agility and lots of survivability and cooldowns. And it looks like the champion, on launch at least, is getting about 10 durability on the CT, left torso, right torso. So its torsos are actually getting some survival stuff. Its agility is not as good as the Dragon or Quick Draw, but it's not bad. It's not a rifleman. And it's getting a lot of 10% cooldowns for various different weapons. I would say the big winner of this, I personally would be the hero. It does indeed, as Lars mentioned, has the jump jets, and it has 10% range, which with its missile hard points goes quite nicely with a certain weapon system I like to use. Yeah.
Well, like, generally the heroes are somewhat the better mechs always, and they have it behind the $15 a paywall. But the one thing the hero does have is missiles, is 4 missile systems. So I definitely see a lot of maybe streaks and like different things like that happening, like with it, especially for a 60-ton mech.
Yeah, and I'd say otherwise the Champion 1N, the one that you can that gets the special paint scheme if you buy the collector pack, also has side torsos of ballistic and missile, and both of them are getting 10% cooldown. So that, along with the hero, are probably the ones to look out for, at least in my initial looks at. But the big question for the champion in the end will just be those hitboxes and how easy it is to torso and kill, because it does have a kind of marauder shape. It's a long nose. It could easily twist damage, but it could also easily just have a huge side torsos and be very easily, half of its firepower taken out in one good volley.
Yeah, what do you guys think? RJ and the Nutty.
Those torsos.
The torsos.
I'm looking at the mech, the images that PGI posted, and I just see like somebody else mentioned just a minute ago. I just see huge walking torsos, and so I mean I'll wait till patch day, obviously before, and I'll play it on patch day. Well, no, maybe I won't because I have comp practice that night, but sometime next week I'll probably be playing it if the Mech Santa comes to visit me again. I'll be playing it and checking it out, but just from first looks, I just see the torsos.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking. One of the things that I'm actually comparing it is I'm looking at the Bushwhacker, because both IS mechs, they're very they're kind of similar but different. It is a heavier mech with less armor than a Bushwhacker. And it's wider than that. Like I'm more worried about those arms than anything else, because those arms, just from everything that I've seen, they stick out so far. This is going to be a challenging mech to play. It'll be a fun mech to play, but it'll be a challenge for sure.
So in terms of armor, it's like the Bushwhackers get about 10 on the CT and the side torsos, and this is also getting 10. But a thing we'll cover later, actually, in the patch notes, is a lot of mechs, including the Bushwhacker, are actually having their durability reduced. So the Bushwhacker, the Fafnir, and I think the Annihilator are all having their and the Cyclops Hero getting their survivability cut down a fair bit.
I haven't seen that in the patch notes yet.
Yeah, so moving on to that, at least I will say the champion will actually technically have a bit more survivability than the Bushwhacker, but Bushwhacker, it's losing about 4 to 6 points of armor across most of the its components. Most prominently, at least on the legs, it only had 7 armor bonus on the legs, and now it's just 3 armor. And the Bushwhacker has a very good torso for deliberately spreading damage, which meant legging Bushwhackers was always quite an attractive option. And now Bushwhacker legs are extra squishy.
Well, it's always been an option inside scouting missions. Always. Every single time I played scouting, usually the clanners go ahead and just knock out the legs. At least organized groups do.
I mean, we always just went to the Kintaro because it technically had a slightly better survivability. But now the Kintaro is, going to be the tankiest IS medium, undisputed, since the Bushwhacker's been taken down a peg.
So also they do have bolt-ons. Has anyone actually used bolt-ons besides me? Like I actually used it just on one mech.
Oh, yeah. I've got a few mechs that are dolled up. My urban mech is a rather famous one, because I did that one during the initial Solaris 7 launch. When they invited myself and Starwolf and Loken Plays and Haven to launch the Solaris 7 game mode and bolt-ons.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just put some headers on my Shadowhawk, and that's it. But that's all I did so far. But they got some bolt-ons. They're also doing weapon retrofits, which is kind of nice because it'll actually look like what's supposed to be inside the mech. Cockpit items.
Well, these are the less important things.
Less important things.
Bob, because the survival changes was actually tied into a much bigger overhaul in terms of heat and also weapons. Like clan lasers are getting a lot of reduction in damage. So, for example, the heavy large laser is going down from 18 damage to 16 damage, and the medium lasers are going from 7 to 6.5. So if you think of your regular meta laser vomit Helmringer, 4 medium lasers, 2 heavy large, the actual damage output is what we got: 2, 4, and then an extra 2 damage taken away. So like 6 damage. The Alpha Strike is 6 damage less than it was before.
But it's going to cool down faster.
Well, that goes into the heat changes, but just upfront, at least, clan laser weapons, a lot of them are having their damage reduced. This includes regular large lasers. So their DPS, the damage per tick, all that kind of stuff, at least to clan lasers, upfront are doing less damage upfront, so you have more time to try and hit them back with Dagger and missiles, trying to even out the playing field as they've been hoping to do for quite some time.
Yeah, basically it's gonna just like RJ was saying, it's actually gonna reduce it for the heat wise too. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I really think that the loss of damage points won't be as big of a change as a lot of people are predicting. I mean, the Hellbringer has been one of my favorite mechs since it first came into the game back in 2015. I've seen it go through these different ups and downs with quirks added, quirks removed over the course of all this time. Mobility increased, mobility decreased, and it still has performed solidly throughout the entire time. Seeing the laser vomit ones get a little bit of a nerf to their damage output, but with the increase to their heat dissipation, I think it's still going to be a widely popular mech, and I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be playing it. And there's another mechs that fall into that same category.
Yeah, so Clan Laser Vomit's getting a little bit of a nerf with its heat and its damage output mostly, though large lasers also got the heat reduced. But the bigger thing in the room that is changing all the mechs how they play is their changes to heat sink mechanics and heat dissipation. There's a whole heat system overhaul in this patch.
Did you guys
Basically,
did you guys ever play the testing of this, PTS on this?
I did. Was playing it with Phil actually. The last day it was up, and I really liked the last iteration of the PTS. I was one of those that spoke very highly of that final PTS test that they did, and was kind of saddened to see that they weren't. I mean, even though that was the one that everybody really, really seemed to enjoy and had the most fun with, I was really sad to see them not implement a lot of things they did in that one to the degree that many of us thought that they would.
Mm-hmm. Initially in the PTS, if I recall correctly, heat was capped at a certain level, and no matter how many heat sinks you had, it never changed. Well, with what they're going forward in this patch is heat sinks actually do contribute to your heat capacity. So you have like a base, I think, of 30, your first 10 build up all the way to 50, and then after that, all your extra heat sinks add a very small amount to your heat capacity. So 0.5 heat capacity per double heat sink. So your first 10 will get you up to 50 heat capacity, I think, and then the next 10 will only add 5 heat capacity. So you're going from 50 to 55. So it's I think they changed this from what they proposed in the roadmap, so that if you lose heat sinks, for example, if you lose a side torso and an engine, or you have external heat sinks and they get destroyed, your heat capacity will actually go down quite dramatically, because those first 10 heat sinks are actually quite potent in terms of their heat capacity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's at least what they're doing with this one, but the bigger change, at least from most people's perspective, is the 50 heat capacity is quite nice to play around with, but heat dissipation is getting a huge buff, particularly on double heat sinks, going from 0.15 per second, I think it is, to 0.22, which, if I'm not mistaken, is it's more than 33%. It's like 40% or so increase to the heat dissipation on all double heat sinks, and this rate is consistent throughout. Internal heat sinks, external heat sinks, the first 10, the next 10 heat sinks, all of them do 0.22.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help out the all the energy boats, because they could just pop in and then go back and then get even actually do like 2 full alphas and then go back. So that's going to definitely help them out, especially if you pop a mana potion.
Yep, and even if there is any kind of heat increase or not, I mean it's gonna just equal out, So I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of complaining once it hits. I think a lot of the current complaining is just people saying we don't like change.
Yeah, that normally happens.
They're seeing nerf. They're seeing nerf, and they're not really seeing the buffs that were included with it.
Exactly. Yeah. And
this dissipation buff is huge.
Yeah, that is definitely huge.
It's big.
Yeah, dissipation is way more valuable than capacity. So it's actually just it determines your over a long period of time, your maximum DPS, so to speak. And even in a short period of time, it allows you to keep pumping out those alphas before you start reaching your heat cap. So more dissipation will actually really help out those builds that generate a lot more heat. So missiles, but in particular energy. So even if Clan Laser Vomit's damage output has been reduced a little bit, like at least because the weapons do less damage up front, all the mechs across the board are able to pump out way more damage because dissipation is just so much more valuable, and everyone's got a huge buff.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. So, like, you go back to the Hellbringer. While the Hellbringer may be losing 6 points of damage per alpha with the 2 heavy, large 4-year meads, you're going to be able to get off that alpha twice as fast with the heat dissipation, because that's one of the problems that the Hellbringer suffers with. You're hitting that heat cap pretty quickly. You can usually get 2 alphas off, and then you're skirting that line. But now you're probably going to be able to get 3 off before that happens, and that third alpha is gonna heavily make up for the 6 points of damage loss from the first 2.
Yeah.
Because I've, at least in previous podcasts, at least personally, have advocated that heat is supposed to be a big balancing factor in the game. So laser weapons are very lightweight, they're very effective, they just point, shoot, and hit, but they should have that huge drawback, which is heat, which means a laser boat can, it's very effective when it has heat to play with, but once it reached heat cap, it should be easy to push it down. So a laser mech almost somewhat, it has a lot of upside, so its one downside should be heat management. But with this change to heat mechanics, all the laser boats basically are going to have so much more heat to play with, it might become even more potent in the meta.
The only issue I do see, like, I think they should have not rushed this into the October patch, maybe go to November, is the skill tree problems that they do have with it. One of the things is the heat containment only works for external and not for internal heat sinks, from just from like reading. So all the skill trees you have of trying to do the heat containment, it's not going to work for your external ones. No, actually, like internal ones. Sorry. So the 10 heat sinks you do have, your skills don't work for it. And so I do think they should have actually waited 1 month and kind of fixed these general issues, because that's a big issue, because that's a lot of build things. If for people that min max their skills, like, well, I'm using Ballistic, so I'm gonna have to go change this out to go and do this because I was the energy boat. It's gonna upset a lot of different people that are out there.
I'm very curious about the operations tree, indeed, because as you mentioned, at least they know that their math with the heat containment has always been kind of screwy, and that's also still going to be the case. But even if the math wasn't actually poorly done by PGI behind the veil, stuff like Cool Run, extra 10% heat dissipation, I think it is, if you get all the nodes. That, of course, is even more potent than it was before, because obviously our amounts of dissipation is much larger. So 10% of 100 is a much bigger deal than 10% of just 1. So to speak.
And it'll probably encourage the use of Cool Run over heat containment in mechs with a smaller heat sink count than before, right? When normally, for me anyways, I don't consider using Cool Run unless I have a significant number of heat sinks in the mech already. This is just going to encourage me to use it with less.
Yep. So I imagine at least both, even if they eventually figure out the maths for heat containment and Cool Run, both of those are obviously big things you have to look under a microscope. And obviously we'll see after the patch how overall game balance turns out. If everyone suddenly starts running laser boats and they're just dominating the entire meta, well, next month they'll need to do some big changes to try and even things out.
True. You guys read the stuff on Stealth Armor and Flamers?
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Flamers are going to affect this patch, which I think on Tuesday when this patch hits, I'm going to do my own personal in-game experiments.
I plan to do some too.
Some Flamers.
If on average you have less capacity but more dissipation, Flamers have a more weird kind of awkward. They can have a much more potent position, but also if they're not strong enough, they don't even cancel someone's dissipation. Then all you're doing is giving them, you're just like, okay, you're not on a cold map anymore. Now you're on Caustic Valley. Enjoy. And they're like, well, I don't care. My heat management in Caustic Valley is fine anyway.
It is now just constantly even.
Yeah.
I think though both flamers and stealth armor are fairly niche, tech in the game. So, they're obviously at least need to be looked at, but overall, at least for the most part, they are not too common on the battlefield.
And for the the light engines and the extra-like engine side torso destructions, do not gain mention in the note because net effect. So like if a side torso gets blown off with a light engine, you still don't get to keep the 5, right?
So this is why they changed. It's what I mentioned. They changed from the roadmap. In the roadmap, just like with the PTS, they said, "Oh, you're just capped at we
10.
just go instantly to 50." But in this, they're saying you start at 30 and then your heat sinks build up to it. Because when you lose a side torso, you actually lose a certain number of heat sinks that are in the engine.
Yeah.
So if you have an engine with 10 heat sinks, you lose a side torso. I forget how many you lose, but let's just say you lose like 4 to 5 heat sinks, quote unquote. That means you lose 4 to 5 heat sinks worth of heat capacity and also of heat dissipation. And because these are your starting 10 heat sinks, that's a lot of capacity you just lost because that's the buffed capacity.
So is that it for the heat change? You guys want to go ahead and add anything to it?
I think that's about it for the heat changes.
Okay.
On average, more dissipation, slightly less capacity. They wanted to try and hem in Clan Laser Vomit because they said it was vastly outperforming most of the other weapon systems. I don't think the heat changes are really at all going to do that. In fact, they almost cancel out, if not overbear, the damage reduction changes they have put into the game. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm feeling like they wanted to increase time to kill, but time to kill is going to obviously go down when when heat isn't actually so much of a problem with increased dissipation.
I just hope it actually gets out there that it's actually a good thing and not like, oh my god, this is another change that PGA is going to nerf or do something like that. And I really hope it gets out there, and I think it's up to us, as streamers to kind of like implement that point when you actually know what's going on with, and when you know what's going on with it.
Or how long before this podcast goes live on YouTube?
It's on Monday.
It's on Monday.
Yeah, Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was gonna say, as soon as you guys post this, Nutty and I can start retweeting it and everything else, and that could help get the word out.
That'd be great.
Cool. Yeah, cool, man. Basically, in fact, we have the First Circuit podcast on like Twitter. So basically, I'll go link you the stuff for it.
All right, so moving on with the patch notes. Obviously the heat changes are a big, huge deal. But there are some other changes, particularly if we look down below, equipment changes to ECM. There's a few changes to ECM and Artemis that I think are also a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Really looking forward to.
This is huge because it's
lore.
Yeah,
it's lore
it's lore. My God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But
I mean, Bob, I'm not even a giant lore buff, but I'm loving this concept that they have going on here.
Same with me.
All right, yeah. I also really love this change to ECM mechanics. There was a huge amount of debate with the changes to LERM and particularly with Artemis, removing a huge number of benefits that Artemis provided. That Lermers always just sort of sit in the back and fire indirectly, and Artemis always just sort of gave them a free buff, but it might have been only when you had direct line of sight. But now there's a huge change, which is a lock-on time penalty. Like ECM always sort of almost like doubled the time it took for you to lock on with things, regardless of whether you had direct line of sight, regardless almost of how far away or close you were. It just straight up made lock-ons incredibly painful to acquire. Now ECM with this patch does not actually affect lock-on time as long as you have a direct line of sight to your target.
Mm-hmm.
That does mean the Kentaro, the 3 Kentaro is going to be fun to go and use now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be something.
So, obviously with LRMs, a lot of players sat back and fired indirectly, but there are lock-on weapons, streaks, ATMs that were used quite close and directly towards the enemy. And, with the buff to range in particular of ECM mechs, it was incredibly infuriating trying to lock onto a mech that you're doing all the work to get direct line of sight, but you have to wait instead of 5 seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds, you're waiting 5 to 10 seconds to lock onto your target. So this will mean streaks, ATMs, and also the more aggressive LRM playstyles can actually play against ECM. Like ECM is just stopping. I love this interplay that it's punishing people for just hiding behind a hill and using lock-on weapons. That lock-on weapons now aren't so hard countered with ECM. ECM was sort of just such a huge hammer to the fun of lock-on weapons, even if you were playing them aggressively. So that, personally, at least someone who loves using ATMs and streaks, this is a welcome change.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It definitely counters the. I'll say the main reason why a lot of people don't like people that bring LRMs into the game is because you get someone that sits back at 800 meters. It's great that it rewards them to actually still bring those mechs. And I mean, I'm weapon agnostic. I'll play any weapon that's in the game, but it definitely encourages them to move in, which is great.
Oh, definitely. Like, that's what I normally play is, like, if I ever use LRMs, it's always, I gotta have line of sight. I mean, like, sometimes I'll hang back, don't get me wrong, because, like, I just don't feel like jumping into the fray, but most of the time, it's just, I get within about 400 to 600 meters, and it's like, I just got you. I got you now. Now with this is even better. For a simple reason is, I mean, Street Kantaros, it's, oh god, and plus also, yeah, go on.
From our experience, we actually did some ATM rushes last Friday, where we all take ATM mechs and just push really quickly towards the enemy, and it was pretty effective. But there were times where we weren't, like, we were able to lock onto the ECM mechs, but the lock-ons were taking forever, so we had to wait, which was really annoying. Like, you had to wait until somebody got close enough for their Beagle probe to actually counter the ECM. Now, an aggressive ATM push will actually be able to lock onto those ECM mechs really quickly, as long as you have direct line of sight, because you don't have to do that annoying push to within 170 meters or so for the probe to actually take effect.
Now, do you think it's actually going to break a lot of gameplay for the simple reason
I don't think so. Nah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's, like, I think it's going to be an enhancement for people, kind of like how Biter mentioned earlier. And I think we're all on the same page here is that it will push those learn boats who stay away to get more into the fight. And then also sometimes, is that, you might have the whole team huddled around 1 or 2 or 3 ECM boats, and that kind of did suck some fun out of the game. So I think this is going to push the game into a right direction. I think
at least the thing with lock-on weapons, they had such huge downsides. Particularly against like ECM, that you needed somebody out there with a probe, with a narc to cancel those ECM mechs, because you had to hard counter the ECM to stop them from hard countering you. It was just too many hard counters, too much awkwardness with the system. This, at least if you're a good lock-on missile player, makes the weapon system a lot more fun and interactive, because it rewards you for more aggressive, more direct play. On the flip side, at least, I will say, if you're an ECM user, sometimes it was really nice, like you're in Polar Lerm lands, and there's somebody who keeps poking and taking lots of fire. You would run straight up to them and give them this bubble of protection. That, A, made them hard to lock on, but B, also made the lock-ons take longer. So even though they were doing bad pokes, the Lerm boats couldn't lock onto them fast enough anymore. That will be gone with this change. You can't shield your allies as effectively anymore with ECM, because it isn't such a strong counter anymore.
But still requires line of sight, though.
If it's a line of sight to the ECM mech, but also on the other side, now if you're a ECM mech and you give the low signal, that will now disable the Artemis of the enemy mech, which I think is really interesting.
So I'm just saying, from the flip side, at least, direct weapon users can sometimes feel oppressed a bit by LRMs, because LRMs can really suppress people down, stop them from moving, at least, in regular pokes. And with this change, it means LRMs can be a lot more oppressive, and ECM is not such a strong counter. But I really much more enjoy the interactiveness of it, and as someone who likes using lock-on weapons, particularly directly, direct fire, I am a big fan of this change. But as you mentioned, yeah, they are changing up Artemis. Artemis lost 2 of the 3 main benefits, so it only gave spread benefit, and now they're upping the spread benefit from 25% to 30%. And this is also incorporated into ATM spreads. ATM spread is being reduced, and if you equip Artemis on your LRMs or SRMs, they will also be, slightly tighter now.
Still, that spread though, if I having an additional 5% spread reduction, it's I don't think it's really worth it though. To tell you the truth, go ahead and put that like on your missile systems. It's just not worth it.
I still don't think it's particularly worth it to take Artemis on your SRMs or LRMs too much. 1 ton and 1 slot for each launcher. It gets pretty heavy pretty fast, but I don't mind it. My ATMs being even more tightly spread, though they were already pretty deadly already.
Yeah. So okay, well, what do we got next? There is the quirk changes, which actually I'm really in favor for. Let me get to those.
Oh, for the awesomes and the nice.
Yeah, for the awesomes, yeah.
Hunchback.
And the best thing about it is, let me read it here. Hold on. It says lore here somewhere. Okay, this will allow us to assign a number of flavor quirks based on various mechs' core rules within the lore. That is the best point. That's all I needed right there. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, these particular ghost heat changes, I'm not particularly enthused about, at least because Inner Sphere PPCs are always kind of a bit I think, the 8Q was the classic Inner Sphere PPC mech. It's one of the few almost viable PPC Inner Sphere mechs in the game. So being able to fire 3 regular PPCs, and at least I looked at the spreadsheet and it says it's standard PPC, which implies the 7-ton variant, not light PPCs or heavy PPCs, just the regular standard PPC gets this change.
Well, the whole thing
9M and the Nightstar 9J, you have to use ER PPCs, which also is a bit tricky since the ER PPC is ridiculously hot for what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
But then again, this patch at least gives lots of dissipation. So suddenly, in the Sphere PPCs might not be as painful as they were to use before.
We'll see.
Well, this is going to definitely help the competition, because I did see a lot of awesomes being played with the normal like PPCs, and so this actually might help them out like inside the comp play. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, I like the return in a very brief fashion, a slight return to Gauss PPC on the Nightstar 9J. The awesome in comp play, we used it quite a bit within Cranky Old Canadians because it was a great map control mech. You can post it on high and you can fire. And yeah, we kind of struggled with heat management with PPCs because it's had 3 PPCs. You couldn't fire them.
I don't think we'll see this change though for the finals.
No.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Because typically in the past, like a really good example was Worlds 2016. The Kodiak 3, at the start of Worlds 2016, the Kodiak 3 was the meta assault mech that was used, whether you're running the Gauss or the UX or what have you. It was rare to see a drop happen in Worlds 2016 where the Kodiak 3 wasn't being used. But they nerfed the Kodiak just like 2 weeks into the round robin at the start of the tournament, but we all played on a different tournament client. That tournament client kept all of the quirks and everything that was going on prior to the tournament starting, and they didn't update it. And since we're so far into this season's Worlds, I mean, we're down to our last 3 teams. I don't think we're going to see any of these quirk changes or anything happen in the client in the Worlds client.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And to put that into context, the tournament client does not have any of the mobility quirks that or mobility buffs, I should say, that they did in the last patch. So like the Atlas doesn't have its crazy good mobility increase or anything like that. So
yeah, I will say in regards to like Bob's point about lore and making mechs built around certain weapon types, I'm actually kind of a fan of this. It's a return to a type of quirking that I'm much more a fan of. Like PGI has been moving towards more generalist quirks. So instead of having something like large pulse laser cooldown, they'll give something just 10% cooldown or just energy cooldown. And that made mechs a lot more generic. And I missed the times like the Thunderbolt, of course, was a classic example. One of them was the large laser Thunderbolt, one of them was large pulse, and one of them was medium pulse. And they were like, oh no, we don't want specific weapon quirks. We want it so you can build anything on the mech. And I understand that intention, but they just made it all of them had some generic 10% cooldown. And I'm just like, they're all they're all the same now.
They had no flavor.
They've lost their identity. And this kind of change where you can change the ghost heat penalties, like let the Hunchback 2C fire both ultra and ultra cannon.
That's gonna be stupid, by the way.
At the same time? That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, okay, I'm gonna love it, but it's gonna be really stupid. That's why I love it.
Well, like generally, like in the lore, like when you actually read the books and plus play the game and like just get a general feel of the mechs himself, like the Rifleman was designed to have AC cannons. So this actually puts into effect of a really cool game mechanic that they can put into there. Like, yeah, you know, the awesome fires PPCs, but it's kind of stupid that it has 3 PPCs, and according to lore, it has 3, but you can only fire 2 without a huge amount of ghost heat, because ghost heat was brought in to regulate like heat and just have it like massive alphas, you know, run around everything, and that was just used to go ahead and like regulate heat. So now it's bringing into a lore aspect of the game mechanics what it should have been, and I hope they actually continue like with this, with the Rifleman. You got the I guess would be the Archer, be able to fire like two number 20s, but like without actually having ghost heat and everything. So this is actually good. This is a good point.
Bob, when Mechwarrior 5 comes out, I hope you're streaming your first playthrough, because I just want to watch that stream for your reactions to how much they brought the lore into that game. This is going to be funny.
I plan to. Trust me, I plan to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
They've been able to implement a new type of quirk, the heat scale limit. They change how many the ghost heat limits for certain mechs. This will allow you to do more flavor to mechs, and I hope to see more of them in the future.
Oh, definitely so, man.
Definitely.
I'm very enjoying that. So he just finished quick phase out?
Yeah, so because some mechs couldn't take a 250 engine with the 10 heat sinks inside, they had a sub 250 engine. Some of them were external, and external heat sinks used to be weaker than ones inside the engine. That is why a lot of the smaller mechs got heat dissipation quirks to try and help them out. Now, because all of the first 10 heat sinks, no matter where they are exactly the same, it doesn't matter. They are phasing this out, but as we can sort of see, there are a list of mechs that do keep a reduced number, but do keep this dissipation quirk to make them a little bit more flavorful.
Yeah, okay.
I will
not much to say about this, so sorry.
I have one big thing to say about this. I haven't done all the math or whatever, but I am very pleased the Vindicator is actually keeping 5%. It wasn't eradicated like the Locust or Flea. I am so used to them horribly nerfing my Vindicator 1R. I was surprised that they didn't nerf it even further.
I'm just glad that the Cougar's keeping it. Love my Cougar.
Yeah, so this is, oddly enough, PGI suddenly have given a buff to the Vindicator 1R. I don't know what's going on.
It's crazy times, Biter.
Yes.
Okay, defensive quirks actually now.
Yeah, so apparently their mindset is that with Clan Laser Vomit having a slight reduction in damage, and the Inner Sphere survivability stuff like the Invincible Catapult need to have a similar reduction to try and balance things out. Mechs like the Annihilator, Fafnir, the Schlefnir, and the Bushwhacker are pretty good performing Inner Sphere mechs. Yeah. I do think, though, I'm not sure. I felt they were already in a kind of a good spot, and mechs like the Annihilator and Fafnir are typically kind of slow, and if they get stuck in a bad spot, they really like having that survival.
Well, like the
sorry, go ahead. But definitely the Fafnir, especially because I recall when that thing first came out, they actually had to add quirks to it, I believe, to make it survive.
Well, yeah, it has big gigantic eyeballs.
They did, and this is. I guess this one of those changes that I don't particularly like. I mean, we saw this with the Direwolf. The Direwolf got its mobility and everything got nerfed way back when, and that the direwolf used to be such a great killing machine, and now because of the fact that it has been nerfed, they're so easy to kill now. It's kind of made the direwolf, which is supposed to be a mech that you really do fear, you don't really get that scared of it anymore.
It's almost obsolete because you could just take a Kodiak instead.
Yeah, it was the Kodiak, and then lately it's been the Annihilator or the Fafnir. But I mean, these big, heavy assault mechs, they kind of need these things. Otherwise, they almost become unplayable unless you're a truly skilled assault pilot.
Yeah, because in my eye, especially in Mechwarrior Online, I see the big assault mechs as the giant boss battle of my game. Yeah. So, so kind of like how you said, by taking that away, I feel like I'm going to lose the challenge that I want, even though I don't know if like everyone wants that challenge. But that's now, but mainly I see them as giant boss battles, out there, and that's what. And then I'm like, ooh, a challenge for me, and then I don't know.
Now, I think I don't particularly agree with their rationale, particularly since the heat changes are going to change everything, a lot more so than the clan laser damage changes. These mechs, the Annihilator, Fafnir, Schnefnir, they were all quite powerful because Dual Heavy Goose was really quite powerful. But if everyone has more dissipation, isn't that going to radically change the meta so that Laser Vomit becomes way more versatile than these short range Heavy Goose? So these could all just be taking a whack down when everyone else is getting a huge buff, and that just feels like that's doubly punishing. And I also think there's a lot of variants of the Fafnir and Annihilator, particularly like the Energy Annihilator, that at least in regular quick play isn't necessarily that amazing in a mech in the first place. Why is that one getting such a getting exactly the same nerf as all the other Annihilators?
Well, I think, though, that bringing in the quirk system is a good idea, don't get me wrong. But the problem is, though, it gets tweaked so much that you lose focus on what the quirk system was designed for. And when you keep on tweaking this kind of stuff, the Annihilator is better because it performs better because the people are better with the Annihilator, so let's go bring it down. So once that starts to become kind of like totally like in the background, like the Fafnir and the Bushwhacker, great mech. It was designed for doing what it was designed for. So once those quirks start getting overdone, up, down, up, down, up, down, the whole system kind of gets in whacked where it's based on popularity of, the Annihilator needs to be nerfed because so many people are so good at it, and then next patch will be, we're going to bring down the Kotaro because it's such a good mech for bringing in scouting missions, that type of stuff. And I think the quirks were designed mainly, like before, was just the clans always had better firepower, better energy weapons, better everything, which is fine. That's what they should do. That's according to Lord, that's what they should have. And they're in fear to counteract that. They brought in a quirk system to go ahead and to go counteract some of the like clans what they had, and there are some things like lore wise, basically as far as like certain mechs had certain really cool things like. Let's say the Archer had a better like Artemis system to go and use like in 3050, that type of stuff. So it was designed for that, but it keeps on getting up, down based on popularity.
Well, I just think at least my mindset on this matter would just be you're doing a huge change with heat, and you shouldn't be fiddling the dials too quickly at the moment. You want to keep the game fairly similar mostly and see how the cards fall and then go from there. So the dual heavy Gorse mechs are working really well at the moment when we have less dissipation. When the patch comes, everyone has a lot more dissipation. Is dual heavy Gorse as potent as it is, after that point? And is it really fair to... I don't like fiddling with all the dials all at the same time. Just leave these mechs alone and see how how it all balances out.
Well, it's all based on popularity. A lot of times, like a lot of people have been using the Fafnir, and so like with the dual Goss, and so you're looking at how well they do with those. Like I watch oh god, I forgot his name. The guy with the big Pokemon thing on top of his head. I forgot his name. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot his name.
That's Modeep.
Okay, Modeep, thank you very much. But like I watch him like all the time. He does very well like in that mech. A lot of other streamers do very well. A lot of people do very well like in the mech. And it might be just because that it's popular and people do really good with this, especially with the 50-point pinpoint damage like Alpha Strike. This brings, basically, oh well, we got to bring this down so actually like it has some so it'll be equal to like everything else. And I don't think that's actually a good idea.
I think as I've at least argued in previous podcasts, we want to balance the game around, mechs actually just being fun to play. And if a lot of people are playing a certain series of mechs, that doesn't mean you should really nerf it into the ground, because as I've described before, people are loss averse. When you lose something, it hurts twice as much as something you gain. And so just because these mechs are, slightly more potent than the others and more popular, doesn't mean you should, start hitting them with the nerf hammer. That hurts a lot of people, or at least it doesn't make people feel like the game is particularly fun. And I just prefer if they left it be and just fiddled around with the heat values, and everyone's talking about the heat values rather than people sort of forgetting about the heat values and saying, yeah, but my Annihilator sucks now.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. I'm on the same page with you on that one there, where like I really wish they hadn't fiddled with this, at least not yet. I mean, it's one of those things where if the heavy goose was still an issue later on, yeah, sure, but I think these could have held off,
Well, I mean, it's not like game changing or anything else. It's like, well, I'm never going to use a Fafnir again because I lost 5 points of armor. No, it's never going to be like that. It's just like, people start noticing this kind of stuff at like as a company, and they're basically like, well, they're going to keep on nerfing stuff. That's all we hear. The 2 times a month I go on Reddit, basically go and read the toxic stuff, is just looking at that, and everyone's like, like really, really horrible about, kind of like jumping in and saying, they nerfed this, now I can never use this type of thing.
I personally at least found, whilst all of these mechs were quite potent, they were also fairly fair. Like the Annihilator and Fafnir are pretty slow. So even though they take a fair beating, I like that texture-wise. And I wasn't feeling oppressed by the Annihilator or Fafnir.
You were feeling oppressed, no?
I wasn't feeling oppressed. I didn't feel like they were hurting the game too much. They're not like, everyone jumping around and Gorse PPC night cheers. It's nothing like that.
Yeah. Okay. Mobility increases. You guys have anything else to add to the Bushwhacker and stuff like that? If not, we would jump into mobility.
Let's move to mobility, I think.
Okay.
We've said plenty on the survival stuff. Mobility, yep, all of them are getting little increases here and there. This means the high there is once again slowly moving up the totem pole. It's no longer one of the least agile late mechs for no apparent reason.
Okay.
And the Raven is getting some quirks now, so
a little bit of agility.
As useless.
Now Raven's not that bad. Come on. I know we don't like it, but still.
For the most part, these are just small little increases that mildly improve the quality of life of these mechs. They're not going to really change the world, but it's nice at least that the Omnipod Arctic Wolves, I think, are getting changed around a bit. Like, so they're a little bit more agile than the Battle Mech variants.
Yeah.
But that's mostly it. My biggest contention, at least with some of these mechs, is their geometry needs quirks. That they need quirks to account for their geometry. So the Raven has huge side torsos. That's why it always goes pop very quickly. And whilst it does have side torso survival stuff, they are not buffing that. They're increasing its agility slightly. Patch after patch after patch. But I don't care how agile it is. It's a huge, wide, profile. That's what it needs to make the Raven, somewhat more viable. The same with the Zeus. The Zeus has really good agility. Like, it's almost as good as a Shadow Cat. It's one of the most agile assaults in the game, particularly the Skokomish with Mask. My big thing, though, with the Zeus, the biggest downside of the Zeus, and upside almost, would be its huge arms. A lot of the weapons are mounted in the arms. The missile arm, the Dakar arm, those are where a lot of your hard points are located. And it has no survival there. It has plenty of survival in the torsos, plenty of survival in the legs, but nothing in the arms. The arms are good shields as well. You have lots of weapons in your arms. The arms are good shields, and they fall off super quickly, making you easily disarmed. I don't care how agile it is if I keep being disarmed very quickly. Buff the arms, not the agility on the Zeus.
I just hope that I see more gargoyles and executioners like inside the game, because I really don't see those that much. Like, I see all the meta mechs like the Hellbringers and the Warhammers and all that kind of stuff, but hopefully this is going to bring some more diversity as far as mechs coming inside the game, which would be good.
The only there's a half and half of Gargoyle and Executioner. Both of them, of course, huge engines, lots of not much pod space, so they usually go for the energy boats. Now, obviously, energy boat stuff is less damage up front, but more dissipation. So they have to expose themselves a lot more, which is a problem for those mechs because they have very bad exposure profiles. So the lower damage does hurt them a bit, just a bit like with small pulse lasers. Even though on average the DPS is still okay, just the upfront damage of those small pulse lasers is so underwhelming compared to what they are before. The Executioner and Gargoyle just don't feel the same when you reduce the damage.
So, okay. Is that it for the patch notes? Did you have some bug fixes and our fixes? And the best thing,
minor bug fixes at this point.
The best thing also is it does come with if you have the tournament supporter pack, you do get a World of Blake book for a for Topper. Yes, that's
all
kicking.
Hell Blake.
All Hell Blake book copy item. Yeah, I can't wait to see what it looks like.
3?
Yeah,
Solaris season 3 started up.
Yep. Yeah, got some
Solaris.
There are some people who play it. Like I know, like during the headshot thing, a lot of people did that one.
Yeah, that was nice.
Hey, we drop actually a lot of people into Solaris during Total NWO Fridays. At least during RJ and I's portion of that, we were filling up all the queues till about 11:30 Pacific on Friday night. It was great fun.
That's cool, man. That's cool. I didn't realize that. Like we. Almost no one ever talks about actually going into there and playing it. So that's really good to know that you guys do that.
Yeah, we don't do it every Friday. We kind of whenever the mood strikes. With the current season ending, we thought, hey, this is a great time to go in, get everybody just hyped up for Solaris again before everything resets. But I mean, we do go back and visit it semi regularly.
Yep. Yeah. Cool deal. Yeah, get some extra stuff if you guys can. So that's a good thing for the rewards. So jump in if you guys can. And this happens. It's gonna reset on Tuesday, correct?
Yeah, pretty sure it changes with the past with the update.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Next up we have the weekend Brawler event. Hey, it's another event, guys. Did you know that? It's another event.
Yeah. I know.
And now, like, I think a lot of people have been having event burnout pretty much. But I have to say, though, I'm highly impressed with this one for the simple fact it's so easy to do. And it's for the casual player, which a lot of people in Mechwarrior Online are. Like I know for most of the streamers, most of the hardcore type people, we play it constantly. And so, like, getting a 500 match score is not too bad. But for the casual player that just wants to finish it, this is one of the events that they can actually go and do and not have to worry about, like, having ADHD and like, I got to get this done. I have to get this done, or something like that. So this is good.
Yeah,
this is a really good
because
event.
my criticism of previous week's events was that sometimes you had to climb a mountain, you had to do a lot of kills / KMDDs and also damage on various different mechs 2 weeks ago. Last week you had to do 50 tag assists, do one headshot. There's lots of really finicky things that that could be that could really bottleneck players and be very frustrating to achieve. This one, though, it's very relatively easy to do, and it's I think if you're always going to have an event every weekend, this is the kind of event I would like, particularly since it's giving plenty of MC away. It's not locked behind a really tricky challenge, and it's just simple things that you do by just playing the game. Get ballistic damage, get energy damage, accumulate wins, accumulate destroyed components, this, that, and the other. Easy peasy. You just tick them off after playing a couple of matches each time.
Yeah. I think probably in all, I think I completed it, in some group drops, so people going in the mech lab and all that, basically in between games. But I think I did it within about 2 hours, if that.
Yeah, basically mine about 3 hours. Yeah. It's just good for the casual player, and that's what this game kind of needs, because there are some hardcore people, but there is a lot of people that just kind of jump in once every couple days and plays, and then they see this going, yay, they could go and do this and go play and get some stuff. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing for them.
The hardest part of this event would just be simply getting 9 victories. And sometimes particularly if you're solo dropping or you're dropping with a very bad group, I'm afraid, you might be just dropping and never get lucky. And that might be quite annoying. But at least it's not get a win on Rubelite Oasis,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Caustic
those
Valley.
map ones, bro. I hated those ones.
Those are bad. Yeah.
Well, the challenge with the map ones is there's the map ones, and then the map never comes up.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that was the pain. That was the pain.
Or their map does come up, and you're the only one that votes for it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I know.
They
Yeah.
all voted for Canyon Network again.
Damn it! I needed
It's not
my
even
Polar
part of the
Highlands.
event.
Exactly. I know
So,
for
yeah,
myself, I never actually liked. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I was going to wrap up.
okay, I was just gonna say real quick. I know for myself, having events based on the player involvement, picking maps and stuff like that is really not the best idea you go ahead and do, because like a lot of times people do troll and not do certain types of maps. I say like Terra Therm or something like that, when none of the events actually have Terra Therm, or actually they got to drop a UAV. No one drops UAVs, so you're stuck playing game after game after game, fighting 11 other people to go shoot down that one like UAV. And so like those kind of events I really didn't like, but this actually I'm highly impressed and I'm liking it.
So yeah, this event is kind of what we've been asking for, just nice and simple. If we're going to always have lots of events, you don't want people to put their noses to the grindstone to get a couple of MC, or just a simple right knuckles on your Arctic Cheetah or Mauler.
Yeah.
All right. Last big thing, story to cover would just be the Haunted Heroes custom bundle
It's
sale.
scary. It's very scary, guys.
Ooh.
Exactly.
So this is just the same as the previous bundle hero mechs before, where they're grouped up into 4 different categories, with the lighter mechs being in group 1, and as you go into the group 4, it's more the assault mechs. But there's lots of anomalies all over the place. And there's an extra little twist, which is if you buy a pack and you buy let's just take the starting pack, you get the Adder, Arctic Cheetah, Arctic Wolf, and Assassin. You not only get those 4 hero mechs, you also unlock the Franken pattern for all Adders, Arctic Cheetahs, Arctic Wolves, and Assassins.
That's a
Most
great
popular.
pattern too.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everyone likes that one.
So we've said, at least before, if you haven't really got the hero mechs, these bundle deals are somewhat the cheapest ways to get the heroes, and it's got an extra cherry on top.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you look at it, this is they're adding the Solaris 7 heroes into the sale, which they didn't do before in the previous in the previous iterations. So if you're looking at the Solaris 7 hero pack, you don't necessarily want all 7 heroes. You might be able to pick up just 1 or 2.
Exactly.
You can avoid getting the Siren and just pick up the good Solaris 7 heroes.
That's right. hey, the Banshee Siren is great in Solaris.
Okay.
Not so much outside, but in Solaris, it's great.
I finally began using the Banshee like this past week. I cannot find a good build for that.
Have you tried the build I suggested to you last yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
I know.
Good
Boy.
deals for this if you guys can. I mean, just the hero mechs for the assaults are a really nice deal. I mean, $10 a piece. That is a steal like compared to other different packs they used to have, where it was like $25 for 1 hero mech. So this is good. This is a really good deal, guys.
yeah. The only slight criticism I might kind of have would just be if I'm picking up, for example, the Adder hero. I don't particularly. I mean, I can put the Franken pattern on it, but often, at least with the Omni mechs, you're only going to really use the hero, and you kind of want to use the hero's paint.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the paint scheme for the clan Omni mechs isn't so valuable.
Well, the Adder, I mean, that's just a beautiful looking paint job, though, man. That just looks awesome. So I probably would actually use a Frankie Camelec on that one, though.
Also, it does mean just in a few edge cases, like the Firestarter and Urban Mech, you might want to pick up the Street Cleaner and K9 together, but you're now doubling down on the Franken pattern, which means you're losing value.
Hey,
Yeah.
more Irbies, best Irbies.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
all about the
Nothing
Irbies.
wrong with that.
Probably an important part to point out about about these bundles is that they qualify towards the MC tier for the MWO annual rewards program. So it's not a typical mech pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is I feel is a little sad. Like you can spend what, $40 to get the Group 4 here, like Assault Mechs. That's quite a good investment. I think it should be on the similar level as buying a standard pack, at least.
Still not a bad deal. Just, I mean, they've been doing some good deals, and I have to admit though they have been doing a lot of deals, but they have been doing some good ones as well too.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've voiced this plenty of times enough already, but with the rewards, at least, it is a shame if you only buy standard packs, you buy dropship deals. You know, you could put hundreds of dollars into the game and not get any of the ultimate rewards. I'm not getting any of the ultimate rewards despite buying, most of the standard packs.
Okay, so who wants to do it? Yeah, go ahead.
Made it.
I was about to say we made it.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay.
So who wants to do the outro then?
Okay, well, thank you very much to NuttyRat and RJBass and everyone else for turning up and for us on the First Circuit podcast, episode 59.
I'm not a fish.
Not a fish.
Yeah, he is. He is.
All right,
RJ, you dropped the bit. You dropped the fish at MechCon last year, and I know you're going to do it again this year.
What?
You dropped the
But
fish?
it makes lots of sense that you've both got an animal theme going. The rat and the fish.
True. Well, thanks for having us. It was great to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's great to have you guys on,
Thanks
man.
for inviting us along. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I will put all the different links and everything else down below as well too. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and actually being part of the First Circuit podcast. You're always welcome. Just to let you guys know, and I'll definitely actually start promoting MPU. So you guys have a good night, and I'll see you on the battlefield.